Morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us here today as we announce the winners for our, oh, come on up, Tony. Come on, I don't know why you're hanging back there. You're part of this program, too.
Thank you.
So our Developing Youth Talent Initiative. So let's take a step back. Last week, the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Economic Development held our Ag and Economic Development Summit. And we were able to highlight a lot of the great things that are going on in the state. I'm sure you're all aware that we have the second lowest unemployment rate in the country and the lowest in state's history. We've got the highest workforce participation rate. Our employment to population ratio is the highest in the nation. In fact, if you think about it, for every 100 adults in Nebraska, 69 of them are working. And that's 9 more than anybody else in the country, or 9 more than the country's average, I should say. We also see that agriculture is doing very well here. We had a record $1.81 billion in beef exports last year, and we had a record production of 1.85 billion bushels of corn and 351 bushels of soybeans. And last year, the U.S., we don't have stats for the state of Nebraska, but last year, the country, U.S., exported more corn than in 19 and 20 combined. So record year for corn exports, as well as that, the corn exports were up 102%, soybeans exports were up 8%. So still great year for exporting soybeans. We also saw that reflected here in the great investments we've seen by many companies last year in the state of Nebraska and in small business. So for example, if you look at the Small Business Administration, they made $244 million in loans last year, and that was $80 million more than the previous record high from 2011. And when it comes to small businesses, the Small Business Empowerment Report that Amazon does for their retailers, Nebraska retailers saw a 60% increase in their sales year over year, which was the largest increase of any state in the country. So small businesses were doing well here in Nebraska in 2021. And we also saw a lot of startup activity as well. In fact, there was $317.6 million of venture capital in 2021 here in Nebraska, and that was more than double the previous high year of 2018, where we had $153 million. So we saw it at startup companies, we saw it in small businesses, we saw it in other businesses that are investing here in our state, and all that has led to 12 months of record employment here in the state of Nebraska. In fact, we've got 24,000 more people working today than we did pre-pandemic. And we've got the highest employment in manufacturing we've had at over 100,000 folks, over 102,000 folks, than we've had in 14 years. So the state is doing very well, and of course that also translates into our record revenues that we had for the fiscal year that ended June 30th, $1.47 billion above forecast, over 30% over forecast. So we see that translated there as well. So we talked a lot about the great success we've had here in the state, but one of the other challenges that goes along with that is that it's challenging for employers to find people. You know, when there's lots of jobs for Nebraska families, it's a great deal. In fact, Kids Count from the N.E. Casey Foundation just came out with their annual survey, N.E. Casey Foundation just came out with their annual Kids Count survey, and Nebraska came out ranked #1 for children's economic well-being. And that makes sense to me, that if you've got lots of job opportunities for Nebraska families, it means that kids are taken care of. But it also means employers are having a challenge finding people. And so a lot of the topics that we talked about at our Ag and Development, our Economic Development Conference was about workforce development. What can we do to get more young people trained to take the great jobs that we have here in our state? And that's why we've been working since 2015 on creating that talent pipeline, starting in 7th and 8th grade with our Developing Youth Talent Initiative, taking that into high school through our Career Academy, and then post-secondary education with either youth registered apprenticeship programs, scholarship programs like our Career Scholarship Program, to really create that pipeline so that young people are getting exposed at an early age to the great careers we have here and getting the education they need to be able to take those jobs. And our Developing Youth Talent Initiative so far has impacted 24,500 students in 66 school districts. And we've been able to give out 19 of those awards, those grants, to 16 different companies. In fact, one of our companies here today, MetalQuest, by the way, great name, MetalQuest, what a cool name. I gotta say that every time. Scott, I love that name. is a repeat award winner. MetalQuest previously, with their previous award, worked with the Lawrence Nelson schools and the Sandy Creek schools. And what they saw for those 7th and 8th graders is about 39% of them were interested in a career in manufacturing going into it, and about 75% were interested in manufacturing after taking the class. And what we also see from our schools that have participated in this Developing Youth Talent Initiative is a 15% increase in students taking those science and technical skills classes, like a career academy. So we see that it actually increases enrollment in those programs as we go into that. And then what I think that also helps is, we've seen, for example, our registered apprenticeship program is up 15% year over year. We've got over 3,900 folks in our registered apprenticeship program. I think that impacts that as well. And then, of course, we see, like Wayne State, what they're doing with their Growing Together Career Scholars program, finding an innovative way to take our career scholarships and working together with communities to be able to get people to set down roots in our communities. So we've been working to be able to make sure companies can have access to the talent they need to continue to grow here in the state. And that's what this Developing Youth Talent Initiative is about. So today, we're going to be hearing from Tony Goins, who's our Director for Economic Development, and also from Scott Volk, who's the Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of MetalQuest, again, cool name. And not the 21st Century Equipment's not a cool name, Owen. I don't want you to start feeling like, ooh, the governor's talking about this all the time. And then we also have Owen Palm, who's the founder and CEO of 21st Century Equipment. MetalQuest is involved in making different types of fabricated parts, and they use a lot of robotics, which is super cool. And then Owen Palm's 21st Century Equipment has 6 locations across western Nebraska with about 350 people. And Owen is hiring a lot of folks that are involved in technology, especially also diesel mechanics and so forth. So again, lots of opportunities for great paying careers, which is why we want to expose our young people to that. Our previous award winners have ranged everywhere from Omaha and Lincoln to Broken Bow to Scottsbluff Gary. So we've been able to find companies all across the state to participate in this program. So I'm excited today to announce that MetalQuest and 21st Century Equipment are our award winners for this year. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Tony Goins, who will say a few words and introduce our winners.
All right. Well, first of all, Governor, thank you for your leadership with this Developing Youth Talent Initiative. This is mission critical for our state, as we've talked about the necessity and the need for talent and filling that pipeline. So it's great to be here to announce the grantees under the Nebraska Developing Youth Talent Initiative. As Governor Ricketts mentioned, this program has immense importance for our mission and vision to grow the state and create opportunities for young people. Simply put, we are experiencing a critical need for talented professionals who possess the skills in STEM, information technology, math, and science needed to propel our industries forward and to really address these labor shortages. Our backbone industries, like ag and manufacturing and healthcare, have become even more intertwined with science and technology, and you can see that across all of our industries. Yet employers across the state and around the nation are experiencing a shortage of workers who possess these high-tech skills and talents needed to enable continued growth. Deloitte, which is a firm that we use quite often here in the state, projects that the U.S. is going to need about 3.5 million STEM jobs by 2025 to keep up with the demand. And with more than half of those positions right now, unfortunately, are expected to go unfilled. Another 2.1 million manufacturing jobs are expected to go unfilled by 2030, and more than 3/4 of manufacturers report that they are unable to find skilled workers that they need and don't expect that to change here in the near future. And in healthcare, the pandemic has underscored a worsened and already severe shortage of nurses and doctors and technicians and other professions. And we clearly saw that. I mean, these are real numbers, and we saw that here in our state also. So to address these issues, we have to reach kids at a young age. That is so paramount, and teach them about these great opportunities waiting for them in these industries and the ones that are right here in our state. These jobs are going to pay great wages, and they're going to be sought after for decades to come. So this is not just about the here, but this is also about our future. Research shows the best way to do that is to create these interactive learning experiences that are both entertaining and educational, but also illustrate examples from real world to teach these advanced concepts. the ability to educate and inspire by using industry-defined approach in the classroom, develop collaboration with teachers and the educational experts is what is needed and makes the Developing Youth Talent Initiative such a valuable program. The Developing Youth Talent Initiative not only seeks to engage and inform and inspire, but it does so by forging linkages between the educational system and the private sector, which I will tell you is really important right now. It's one thing to teach the 7th and 8th graders about STEM-related careers. It's another thing to prepare them with hands-on and to obtain some real-world job skills, and that is demanding an actual, with real employers that are here like the ones we have here today. And a lot of that entails building Lego robots and 3D printers, and a lot of them did create some of the masks during the pandemic. Parents and teachers are the best experts at reaching our kids, but they shouldn't have to go it alone. So our industries can be sure that parents and teachers guide the students with these real-world opportunities that are out there waiting for them. In closing, I want to thank MetalQuest and 21st Century Equipment and all of our previous Developing Youth Talented grantees for their dedication to this important mission. They represent the private sector leaders who are keenly aware of the need for this program and who are truly vital partners to its success. We are proud to be honored as the department to support your cause. We want to thank all of the parents and the incredible educators who make these programs possible. Kids are the key to our future here in our state. I mean, this is really important, and the future of our nation. And we need great parents, great teachers, great leaders. Also want to thank my teammate, Rose Baker, for all of her work that she's done around this Developing Youth Talent Initiative. This is huge. Last thing I want to mention is that some of our minority populations will also benefit from the Developing Youth Talent Initiative. A lot of these kids may not be exposed and not see some of these opportunities, and this is going to give them the opportunity to do so. So listen, Governor Ricketts, thank you again for your leadership. Thank the business community. Mission critical to our state, and as I always say, we all wear the same jersey. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Scott Volk. He's the Vice President and Chief Operations Officer for that cool company, MetalQuest. The platform is yours, sir.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
So, Governor, Tony, and the state of Nebraska, I really appreciate being blessed with the second time we've been awarded Developing Youth Talent Initiative grant. We're extremely excited about it. The first time around, we were able to bring a bunch of equipment in to the Lawrence, Nelson, and Sandy Creek school districts to expose them to careers in manufacturing. That was quite a while ago, and now what we found is we've had robots for quite a while, but robots have become incredibly crucial to manufacturers in the state. You know, with ag manufacturing, manufacturing is the largest GDP driver in the state of Nebraska, and it's very, very difficult for us to find the people that we need. So what we're planning on doing is with ESU 5, they already have an existing K-6 coding and robotics program. We're going to bring in industrial robots and bolt that onto their program. What that's going to allow us to do is have a consistent program from K all the way to 12 to expose students in exciting careers in software engineering, automation engineering, and process engineering. We're extremely excited to be able to do this. The other thing is we're using the same robots that we use at MetalQuest. So we're going to be able to bring the students into our facility, show them real-world examples of exactly what's going on. We're very excited about that. Also, there's a grant out there right now that the state's trying to get that's going to develop some additional automation tools for the entire state. With this program, what we're hoping to do is bolt that program onto that other state program to allow the students that are in the ESU 5 district to be able to go directly into some of those community colleges, such as Northeast and Metro, that are putting this program into place. So, as the governor mentioned, you know, employment and labor is really tight for manufacturing. I think we have a image problem in manufacturing right now, and we're really excited about allowing this to hopefully break that mold and let people see that there's very exciting, high pay, high excitement careers in the state, in manufacturing. So thank you again.
Thanks, Scott. Owen?
Congratulations, Scott, Governor, Tony. Thanks for the opportunity to be here today. So 21st Century Equipment is a John Deere dealer in the Nebraska Panhandle. We kind of cover Imperial, Ogallala, and everything north and west of there. We characterize our proposal as a STEM mobile learning lab. This trailer will be equipped with virtual reality simulators, computer models, and fixed displays that will allow students to experience the science and technology that is utilized in precision agriculture today, and we'll be looking at a lot of more futuristic opportunities there also. The equipment in this heated and air-conditioned trailer will be mobile. It can be utilized either in the trailer or transported to the classroom. We have the support of over 20 school districts who have agreed to collaborate on this project. Our lead school will be the Scottsbluff School District and utilize the career academy that they've developed. Today, we have about 40 job openings in our company that are listed on our website, and almost every one of them has some relationship to technology, some requirement for science and math in the performance of that job. So it's our hope that introducing students in the 7th and 8th grades will help us in our recruiting efforts on down the road as we demonstrate to these kids the tremendous opportunities that exist for well-paying jobs, staying right in the local area there. So, again, thank you for the opportunity, Governor Tony. We look forward to initiating this project.
All right, thank you, Owen, thank you, Scott, thank you, Tony, and we want to just say congratulations to, again, both MetalQuest and the schools they're going to be working with, as well as 21st Century Equipment and the schools they're going to be working with on bringing this program to those young people who will get the opportunity to be able to get that experience looking at the careers that are available in manufacturing, technology, and so forth. So we really appreciate it. And with that, we'll go ahead and open up to questions and answers. As we always do, we'll focus on this topic, and if we have time left over, we'll branch out into other topics. So questions on the Developing Youth Talent Initiative. Yeah, Aaron.
How much money will each of the companies receive as part of the grant?
So I believe that MetalQuest is getting $125,000, right? And Owen, you're getting a $203,000. Is that about right?
125.
Oh, you're getting 125? Oh, I thought it was 203. Okay, 125.
We take the 203.
Yeah.
How many job vacancies do we have in the state now? I wonder if this program's led to any hiring for either of your two companies.
Well, so this program, again, is going to be new to 21st Century, so they haven't had a chance to implement it yet. With MetalQuest, I'll let Scott answer that question. Typically, and I'd have to get John Albin here, but the last time I saw, I think we had about 50,000 job openings in the state of Nebraska. So we still have lots of great career opportunities for folks to be able to take these jobs, and especially if they've got the right skills and training. And that's part of what this program is about, is to show young people they can get these great jobs and then be able to get the education. So Scott, I'll ask you about, let you talk about the hiring.
So the problem is that we can't grow because we don't have the jobs. So having job openings is really hard to define, because just at MetalQuest, a small company, 65 employees in Hebron, if I had 10 more people, I would have that much more work. But we're not advertising for 10 positions because we know we can't get 10 positions, which is why we're starting to do more automation, because the only way for us to continue to survive is to bring in more automated equipment, not to replace people by any means, but to give people more exciting careers and be able to continue to grow our business. So it's such a difficult number to pin down. I have friends across manufacturing all across the state. We're all in the same boat. If we had people, we'd be growing. So if we want to grow our state, we need to do things to bring in more automation, to bring in more careers, and with that, there would be a lot more openings. I mean, we're never going to be ahead of that curve, I think, because the work ethic that we have in this state and the ingenuity we have in this state is just going to continue to allow us to grow and grow and grow as we automate more.
So Scott, I know your class was 2016, right?
Yes.
Is when you got that first
Yep.
grant. So those were 7th graders in 2016.
Yep.
So now we are, 6 years beyond that.
Yep, and we're seeing students
So-
coming out of that program. They're going to Central Community College and then going out into the workforce. They are very prepared, yep, some of the best students in their
Have you
class.
hired anybody from that first class of 2016?
We
yet?
have, we've interned, but we haven't had a chance, opportunity to hire them. They've come and interned at our,
Okay.
but yeah, we're
They're
competing with a
still
lot
kind
of
of,
the
yeah, I was gonna say,
manufacturers.
they're also still on the
It's
border
still,
of.
yeah.
They were in 7th grade in 2016, so
Yep.
they still had
Yeah, but we're definitely seeing a lot of advantages to it.
5 years of high school.
Yeah,
to get through.
it's a whole different world. The thing I hear students all the time when they go through these programs at the high school or tool or medical class is, I never knew I could do something like this. And that's the whole goal, is to expose them to these type of careers.
Cool. Andrew?
Is there a mechanism to track these students that go through this program?
So the question was, what tracking do we do? So each of the grant applicants has to apply, or, kind of, part of their grant application is how they're going to track the students' results. That's how we know, for example, that we see a 39% interest in, say, manufacturing and IT before they take the class, going to a 75%, at least that was the experience with MetalQuest in their 2016 program. And, and then how we know that, generally 15% more go into the career academies. We don't track that all the way through the high school years to when the person then would go pursue a post-secondary education and what their job is. We just don't have the facilities to be able to do that.
That's kind of the question that I think that Paul was asking was, how successful has this program been in meeting that need that you guys had identified?
Yeah, I think well, again, you can just look at some of the macroeconomic numbers where we've got, the highest number of people employed in manufacturing we've had in 14 years. I think that helps make an impact on it. But what we're looking at is really kind of more closer when we see more of those students in 7th and 8th grade then pursuing that kind of career academy, those science and technical skills classes in high school. I think that is the indicator. When those go up 15%, and frankly, we see more young ladies participating in that, I think that's directionally what we want to see, is more people getting involved in that. And I think that will, at the end of the day, create a larger workforce to be able to hire.
But you're also saying it's gonna take some time.
But it's also going to take time, right? So we talk about the 2016 numbers. Again, we think about those are 7th graders, maybe 8th graders. They would have just graduated high school in 2021. So they're probably still, as Scott was indicating, pursuing careers with a community college or maybe a registered apprenticeship program or something like that. But they've still got some education to do after they graduate high school.
Is there anything you've learned over that period of time that's kind of sharpened the pencil on this program? Is there something you're trying to either abandon or something now that you're trying?
Actually, one of the things that we've done, so Paul's asking, well, have you learned anything from the program? When we first launched this program in 2015, it was very specifically targeted at the IT and manufacturing, and we had a request from some school districts, for example, to broaden out into health, and so we've opened that up as well with regard to health. So we have broadened it out to allow for other career fields, depending on what the individual needs were. Yeah, Andrew.
How many debt-free kids are you producing out of this whole thing? Kids who have a career that don't have a lot of debt?
Yeah, so Andrew's asking how many debt-free kids are we producing, and again, we don't really have the ability to track them once they leave high school about where they're going to go afterwards. But you bring up a great point that if you attend a career academy, say in high school, like what CNH Industries is doing with Career Pathways Institute in Grand Island, you can actually get a registered apprenticeship program where you're earning while you're learning and get that certification and being hired directly out of high school in the case of CNH Industries. And that's a great opportunity to go into a registered apprenticeship program where you can earn while you learn. This is what happened, with Klaus was one of our grantee award winners during the pandemic. Their program was slowed down because schools were not in person in the Omaha area. But that's the opportunity right there, again, to get in one of those apprenticeship models where they will pay you to learn, and that way you don't have to end up getting all the debt that you might if you went straight into that 2-year or 4-year degree program. So lots of opportunities for young people to not take on all the debt as they get into these great career fields, get some of that experience in high school, some of that post-secondary credit, registered apprenticeship program, or taking advantage of our career scholarship program. All right, any other topics on this one? All right, well, I will again thank Tony for all your great work. Scott, Owen, thank you very much for the applications, and good luck on getting these programs implemented. Appreciate it. Right. All right. And yes, so unless you want to stay up here and help me answer the other questions. All right. Questions on other topics? Paul.
Comment on the raid on President Trump's house. What's your feeling about that?
So with regard to the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago, what we need to have from the Department of Justice and the FBI is more transparency. For example, having the affidavits that supported the search warrant. Both the Department of Justice and the FBI have a recent track record of appearing to be politically motivated. If you think about the Carter Page wiretaps, the Steele dossier, how they handled Hillary Clinton having classified information on her private server. So I think we need to have more transparency. And in my opinion, it ought to be pretty serious to take the unprecedented step of raiding a former president's residence. And if it's not, A.G. Garland and Director Wray need to resign, because this is really serious. It's only increasing the division in our country. This better be pretty serious. And we need more transparency on it.
You're not ready to condemn the FBI or defund the FBI. You want to see.
I want to, yeah, exactly. I want to see the transparency. Like I said, both the Department of Justice and the FBI in recent years have had bad track records on this. So we need more transparency, a heightened sense of transparency. I think that's why A.G. Garland moved to have the search warrant opened so people could see it. But I think we need more. We need to know what was the affidavits behind it so that we can see this. This really needs to be, again, this is an unprecedented step. These agencies have got a bad track record. We need to see what is driving this. Yeah, Andrew.
What's your opinion of these carbon sequestration pipelines?
Yeah, so the question was, what about the carbon sequestration pipelines? This is another example of how in agriculture and manufacturing, we're continuing to innovate to be able to meet consumers' needs. You know, consumers want to reduce their carbon footprint. And with these carbon sequestration pipelines, we can do more in ag and ag manufacturing to be able to meet that need. So for example, it's relatively easy, I'm told, to capture the carbon dioxide off an ethanol plant. If we can capture that, and I think about half of our ethanol plants in Nebraska sit on structural geological formations that would allow them to store that on site, and thus I signed 2 years ago LB 650 to allow for that sorts of regulation and permitting. Or putting into one of these pipelines, Tallgrass Energy, for example, is repurposing other pipelines to be able to transport CO2 and sequester it in places like Colorado and Wyoming. That will reduce the carbon store of our ethanol, and that will make it more attractive to be able to be purchased in California. We'll be able to charge a premium for it. So we're meeting consumer demands, and that's the way the market's supposed to work. So I think this is a great opportunity for our state to be able to pursue these technologies and be able to meet the needs of consumers who are looking to have lower carbon footprint products.
What about the use of eminent domain?
So when any time anybody brings up the use of eminent domain, you have to ask yourself the question is, well, everything that we build, all these structures, has involved that to greater or lesser degrees. So if you're going to say we're never going to use eminent domain, that means you're never going to want an interstate highway system or any highways at all. So certainly we encourage companies to work with landowners, and certainly with pipelines, you don't even really lose use of the land afterwards, right? But you know, we encourage companies to work with landowners to be able to come to an agreement. But we use eminent domain to build all the structures that we have here in our country, the interstate highways, system, for example. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. No, let's go, Andrew. If you had a follow-up question, we'll go to Aaron.
Well, I was wondering about isn't it kind of risky to go into an industry that's dependent upon a federal policy, and that federal policy could change if, the leadership changes?
So you mean with regard to carbon sequestration? Actually, I think the thing that's driving this, Andrew, is consumer demand. Consumers want to have lower carbon footprint products. And that's not a government policy per se, that's a consumer demand. And that's why I think meeting that consumer demand is the opportunity that we have here in Nebraska.
And what sort of abortion legislation would you like to see proposed in the next regular session?
So with regard to abortion regulation in the next legislative session, I would encourage the senators to pass whatever restrictions they think they can get the votes to be able to get done. I was supportive of the complete ban that we had earlier this year. We floated the idea of doing 12 weeks to the legislature. Unfortunately, we found out we had a couple senators who were clearly playing games who voted for the complete ban and then would not come back and work on a 12-week ban, which was just basically changing our current law from 20 weeks to 12 weeks. So we clearly had some senators who were not being honest with their constituents on this. But they'll be term limited out, and so we'll have the opportunity to continue to have this discussion. So I'd encourage the legislature to take more steps to protect preborn babies next year. All right, I don't see any other questions. Thanks again, folks. Appreciate everybody being here today. Have a great week, and we look forward to seeing how MetalQuest and 21st Century Equipment are able to get more young people involved in the great career fields that we have here in our state. Thanks. Thank you, Sharon.